me, I'll be on my mission. Catch me, candid for these lenses. Catch me, one day whipping in these Benzes. Catch me, catch me, catch me. Catch me, like we playing on. Roll one, hey, you gon' sing along, hey. Sip some, hey, you gon' get your dance on. Catch me, catch me, catch me, yeah. Drowning in ambition now.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back today for another episode of Couch Creatives, and we have a very special guest here today. He is Mr. Dean van der Bijl. How are you doing today, Dean?
Said the surname correctly, I like that.
You know, there's something about the surname Bijl, Afrikaans surnames, you know, you can't say it wrong. My surname is Stein, so I know how it feels to have an Afrikaans surname. Exactly. So just a little bit about him. So from my research, I was able to find out that the man over here on the couch with us today has an MBA from UCT. He has been working with some of the biggest companies on the JSE in South Africa. He has his own company currently, 2 companies actually, if I might say so, and we have the pleasure of having him here today. So without further ado, Mr. Dean, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good, literally melting. Eyeballs are sweating, but we're here, so happy to be here and definitely looking forward to this chat.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, we really appreciate you taking your time and coming out here, you know, helping the youth of, you know, South Africa. What you're doing, I feel like you're obviously in a field, you know, that's actually trying to make a difference, because in South Africa, you know, the youth, they're struggling, they have the problems, and people like you, they are actually, you know, going against the grain and actually trying to help South Africa in, you know, building the youth up, helping, and your vision is, so you help businesses from ideation, and you basically take them through the incubator phase, and you actually, you know, get them monetized. Am I saying that correctly?
Let's take a step back, right?
Okay,
so
okay.
With the two businesses, one is a digital school, and the other one's a digital business agency. So we started off, I co-founded the school with my sister as a partner, and that was to, before the pandemic kicked in, to say digital education or schooling on the internet or learning on the internet is not what we want. It wasn't right, it was one-dimensional, it didn't enable students to learn effectively, a whole bunch of reasons. It was boring, it was a whole bunch of things. So we did a lot of research to see how we could get digital education more like the classroom situation, more interactive, more immersive, more engaging.
So like a modern type of thing.
Basically bringing formal learning, structured learning onto the internet, into a digital space.
That's beautiful.
And that's why we started what we call Remind Virtual Academy. So the remind is not to remind you to do something, it's with reference to the mind. That's to use your whole mind in your learning. So our logo effectively is rethink how you learn, which means that you don't have to learn the same boring structured way, unstructured way that most digital online schools are given. So ours is very immersive, very interactive, very learner-centric. It is a portal, a learning, what we call an LMS, learning management system.
So what do you teach in the school? What actual modules are there?
Our focus is across 3 key areas. One is business skills, the second one is digital and technical skills, and the third one is personal development. Because we're trying to look at the holistic approach to how people learn, especially in a business environment. And then we've gone down a more narrow path, try to niche it more, the learning, and that's on entrepreneurship. And then we've taken it one step further, because we felt that aspect was missing from the entrepreneurship side, was digital entrepreneurship, what it is and how it's different to what we call traditional entrepreneurship. So the school is focused on those 3 key components, with our flagship being on the digital entrepreneurship side.
Okay, and how does this tie into your other business, the digital marketing agency?
So effectively, if I have to put what we are into what we call an elevator pitch, the reason they call it an elevator pitch is literally when you get into the elevator, 30 seconds later, the person needs to understand what it is that you're selling. So when they get off, they got an idea. So our elevator pitch is that we're a single point of contact for implementing digital business strategies in small and micro businesses in South Africa.
Okay.
And we do that by focusing on a seamless integration from ideation to exit. In other words, from concept to when you either want to close the business, sell it, move on, whatever it is. And we make that a single point of contact. So part of the problem for most small businesses, especially solopreneurs or micro businesses, is that they have to run all over. First of all, they don't know what they don't know.
So let's break this down quickly. So when you have a business that comes to you, right, you're looking at what certain factors, because at the end of the day, you know, the most important thing in any company is to make money. The top line is basically your revenue. So you need to determine, obviously, that the company that you are going to take in is, you know, has the ability to make money. So how do you exactly do that?
So at this stage, it's not a question of bringing a company in and growing them. It depends on their needs. That's where, to get back to your second question around the agency itself, the digital business agency. So when we built the school, we still felt there was something missing, because it was very theoretical, like with most people that teach entrepreneurship, especially traditional entrepreneurship, versus what we're trying to teach, which is digital or more modern entrepreneurship, is that the practical side was missing. So you learned, you wrote a quiz, you got a certificate, and they sent you off on your own most of the time, and you had to run around doing your own thing. And we felt that that gap was too big for the vast majority of small businesses and small entrepreneurs. So we brought the agency in to say that whatever you learn, we can make it practical and we can help you implement it. So from concept to registering your business, both, you know, CPIC, SARS, banking, through to your visibility, which is your marketing, digital, social media, all forms of marketing, SEOs, etc. Up to teaching you how to create your own web sites through something like WordPress or Wix or various other components. So we felt that instead of just learning, we'll teach you how to apply it, and we'll help you. That's why we're a single point of contact. You come through our front door, we walk you through the whole process, and you walk away with the business at the end of the day if you don't already have one. So for example, one of our flagship courses that we're launching, hopefully kind of end of Feb, is what we call a digital entrepreneurship bootcamp. At the end of that, it's a 6-week course. We've also got the 21-day course, which is more compressed and much quicker. But we're going to expand on that. At the end of that, if you join the course, you walk away with a fully registered business, with a website, with a digital business strategy implemented, and you are able to function in a digital space.
So what would be the key concepts that you are looking at, you know, to get a business from, you know, starting to actually making money?
The single biggest equation or formula of business is effectively profit equals revenue times cost. Revenue minus cost. So profit equals revenue minus cost. And the way people have to look at that formula is that if you increase revenue and you minimize cost, you increase profit, and vice versa. So if any of those go in the wrong direction, you lose money. So we want to teach people from a basic concept of, through the strategy assessment, so we do a whole, what we call a business life cycle analysis, health check, and we assess where they are, right from the startup phase through to the exit phase, depending on what we call the horizontal view of the business. Axis is another word, but looking at it horizontally, in other words, the whole life cycle chain, and we do a health check along the way. And where any one of those aspects are missing through the analysis, we're then able to assist there. So if somebody comes along and says, hey, I'm just getting started, we'll assess that and say, what is it? What do you need? Which direction you want to go? And as I said, if you want to be registered, we do it for you. If you want a website, we do it for you. So depending on which phase, at what point of that life cycle you're at, we'll sit down, do some consultation with you. In the same way that big consulting companies treat big enterprises, I want to work with small businesses in that same way, because they deserve that, but not at the same cost, obviously.
So before we go on the ad break, I just want to ask you one final question. What is your strategic way to advertise the content for the companies that you work with?
We've got sort of a interim space that we call the virtual business mall as one of the components. It's a business directory with a difference. So instead of just listing the businesses, what we do is, as it indicates, it's like a virtual mall. If you think about Canal Walk, you walk in, you do window shopping. Through the window you can see, hey, that's what I want. You can actually walk in, touch the product, play with it. The only thing that we don't do is we don't enable the commerce side, the payment side on that, because it's a one-pager. So it's a very interactive business directory. That's the one thing where we bring small businesses, NGOs, NPOs on at around 150 Rand a month for a single pager. We do the marketing, we do the advertising, make sure the admin side, etc. And then we also do a lot of workshops with the big, I'm not going to name any names, but a bunch of
can't name drop yet.
A bunch of different organizations.
But that's such a beautiful concept of like the small where businesses can just go to and actually get the information that they need to be at the place where they want to be. So they'll go there almost like a real mall, look at, okay, I'm looking for this thing, where in the mall is this thing. That's brilliant.
And find your way around. And then on there you could also have links to your various social media platforms. So if you do business on IG, for example, or on WhatsApp, there's a link that can take you there and people can buy the product. But if you start growing and you want to become a full e-commerce website, we do that through our agency. We build that for you, and then we enable things like on WordPress, like WooCommerce, or on Wix, or depending on the business strategy that you have. That's how we enable a small business to get the process going.
But let's quickly take a short break, and then we can come back and ask some more questions.
Okay, awesome.
Wow, that was refreshing. Welcome back, guys. We're back. We're still here with Dean van der Bijl, and we are going to continue the rest of the conversation. So we have a few interesting questions that we basically got from the audience that we wanted to ask for, new companies and people that want to get into business. So the first one is, what is your thoughts on brand awareness?
Brand awareness branding is everything. Most small companies don't think big, and branding is one of those things that they leave out right from the beginning. They might have a logo and they might have a concept design, but branding is a lot bigger than that. Branding is like naming your child. It's with them for the rest of their life, and it defines them pretty much, much of their character. And branding is the same thing with small businesses especially. It is a strategy, it's structured, and it's long term. So there's a lot to consider when it comes to branding, and that's why, even though you have the concept in your mind, it's always good to talk to the right people, the professionals, in terms of how you put a branding strategy together.
There's a lot of emphasis these days on social media marketing and staying on top of trends. The new trend is Reels. For instance, you got TikTok coming out, and every second day there's a new social media coming out. What is your strategy on following these trends and keeping up to date with trends, and how would you recommend somebody else to do it? Like, what social media platform should they be on? How many times a day should they be posting? Things like that.
That's a tough one, because that's a interview on its own, or chat on its own. But in a nutshell, everybody has a goldfish attention span, 30 seconds. That's it. That's what they remember in those 30 seconds, and then it's done and it's on to the next trend. As business people, what we need to do, even if we are working in those micro mindsets or spans of time, we need to ensure that we avoid the noise or rise above the noise, and we're consistent and persistent in our branding, to go back to what we're saying, and what we're trying to achieve. So you know, it's great to have all of these social media platforms, but remember, those are tools. That's not the end result. It's a tool that you're using to get to the end result. You still have to put the broader strategy together. And if you're going to use these various platforms, social media, digital marketing, whatever it is, to expose yourself in the right way, let's rephrase that, in order to make yourself visible, then you need to have a strategy to do that. Use the channels and the platforms and understand how you're going to use them in the strategy, and be persistent.
Yeah. There's a funny saying that I heard once, where what they say marketing basically is, where let's say you have a terrible product, you shouldn't want to market it well, right? But if you have a good product, you obviously want to market it, you want to put it out there. And then the opposite of that is, of course, you can have a terrible product, but if you market it well, you're just telling everybody how terrible your product is. So in essence, you need to have a good product and you need to know how to market it well. I think that's the structure of, you know, how you should operate and how you should think about that mindset.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about, what is your thoughts on user generated like content? Like, should all business owners actually sit in front of a camera, try to generate concepts, try to, you know, get millions of views? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, okay, to go back to marketing, I heard a cliche many years ago when I was studying marketing and I was kind of in the field. It said, reality is 9/10 perception, and marketing creates that reality. So what it means is, regardless of what's real, marketing gets you to perceive what your needs are, what your reality is. And then to add to that, it says marketing is two things only. Marketing is finance and psychology. You've got to get people to think a certain way in order to spend their money, and how they spend their money. So that in a nutshell is marketing. We need to be very careful, because like anything, like a gun in the wrong hands can create a lot of damage. Marketing is the same thing for me. You got to understand it very well. You got to have a strategy behind it, and you have to have an approach to how you're going to apply it. So what was the second part of the question?
The user-generated content.
User-generated. Most small business people spend 80% of the time creating 20% of the value. In other words, they spend more time doing admin, doing a bunch of things, and not really doing what's core to their business. So to add things like user-generated content, where they sit in front of the camera every day and they're not really focusing on their core business. If they can focus on their core business and they're still able to do that, yes. But once again, if it's part of your market strategy, bring it to the professionals, and they'll make it happen that much better. Because trust me, everybody knows that's trying to be an influencer, that's trying to do YouTube strategies, etc. It's time consuming. And it takes a long period of time to get anywhere, to great. Even 100 views will take you a few months, type of thing. So separate the two, marketing versus core business, and how you align them.
Yeah. Another new thing that's growing popularity in the social media space is influencer marketing, where businesses find influencers and they basically use this influencers platform to market their business. A prime example of it is Prime, you know, this new concept with Jake Paul and KSI, where they had this huge brand, and this company somewhere in Africa, I think, came to them and gave them, I think, 20% each. And now Prime is almost the #1 selling sports drink in the world. What's your thoughts on influencer marketing? Do you think businesses should do it, or no?
Yes and no. Small businesses, probably not, but it depends. I just want to take one step back. Back in the day, I can say that. What we call celebrity marketing, they're calling influencer marketing. So in the US, for example, big sports, basketball, Kobe Bryant, your Shaqs, your whoever else, your golf, your Tiger Woods, companies like Nike would go to them and say, hey, tell people we're the best. It's the same concept now, except it's digital. If you can afford to do it, and you have the right influencer, which out of 100 influencers, 2 to 3 are actually in the bracket that are making money and can really influence.
But you could also tell them and give them a piece of your company if you are small. business. You could
possibly, if you've aligned with each other. So often what goes wrong is that the influencer has a particular target market and the business has a very different target market. But the business sees that the influencer has 100,000 views. They jump on the numbers and not the strategy, and they misalign and they lose each other. So it can be as good as it can be for your business, it can be that damaging if you haven't structured it properly.
Yeah, I heard another concept from, I think it's Seth Godin, who's one of the biggest marketers in the world, and he said that you only need 1,000 like die-hard customers that will buy everything you sell. You're not looking for millions. I mean, if you have it, all good, but you're looking for that real 1,000 that whatever you buy or whatever you sell, they will buy. But that also leads me to the last question that I have, which is, what is your thoughts on the key performance indicators that will really set an average business apart from a business that is destined to succeed?
Structure and strategy. Think big right from the outset. Don't think in terms of money only. Think long term. So when you start your business, structure it in a way that you know it's going to grow. So most people grow by luck or by patching, what we call the Apache approach, Apache, so they try and fix things as they grow. But if you have the long-term mindset, you are going to build a business plan from day one that incorporates as much as your future vision as you can, and you can streamline your growth. That takes a lot of pressure off you as you're growing. If you're lucky enough to grow in a very rapid way, you might have to adjust slightly, but at least the initial structure's there, rather than not have it at all and suddenly you have to respond to it. That's how a lot of successful entrepreneurs fail, is that the business grows too fast, too soon, and they don't have the structures in place to support that growth, and it's as bad as not having any revenue come in. You've got too much happening and you haven't strategized around it. That's also failure at the end of the day.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, man. It's been amazing to have you here. I really learned a lot. I'm sure everybody that's listening also learned a lot. So I want to thank you again, and
awesome.
You know,
yeah, like I said,
any final words for the camera?
There's so much more.
How can people find you? Like, where are you on social media? Like, what platform? Like, if they want to connect, if they saw it and they were like, you know what, I want to work with this guy, where can they find your content? Like,
so there's two key websites. The one is rmva.co.za. The other one's thedba.co.za. So the one's the academy, the learning school, and the other one's the digital business agency. And as I said, we've aligned those two. And we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, we're on WhatsApp. And maybe what I can do is give you the details when you post this, and
we'll add it to the links. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Awesome. Cool. See you next time.
Sip some, and you gon' get your dance on. Catch me, drowning in ambition now. Wet. Turning all these tables now. Blip. Burning all these bridges down. Lit. Catch me, damn.